Podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts Radio Network. KingofPodcasts.com.
Let's explain how Netflix came up with their bullshit number to make WWE look good.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Rick Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence. The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Welcome to episode 984 of the broadcast of the Wrestling is Real podcast. God, tomorrow's Broadcasters podcast. Today's Wrestling is Real. I want to go ahead and take a little bit of interest to someone that I normally, once in a while, will quote from of the disciples that speak to the masses of the juvenile delusional fandom out there. I want to quote from him during his Monday Night Raw recap a couple days ago. Of course, I don't want to give the credence to give that person a voice. His voice is much bigger than mine. His audience is much bigger than mine. But of course, you know, when you send people down a path and they follow along with what you're saying, you know, it's more popular to feed into someone's ego or make people feel good about something that's not good. Meanwhile, I have a smaller audience because I will speak the truth. And I'll be critical as a wrestling fan of the product. It's not the end game to be overly critical or negative. But then those others that speak to the juvenile delusional fandom, they will go ahead and speak to them as they want. And once in a while they can be negative. But for the most part, 90% of their talk is going to be positive for them. They can act outraged or angry, but it doesn't really make a difference. So going to this person, I'm going to just take the transcript here and read it. So Variety Magazine reported that Monday Night Raw drew 340 million viewers on Netflix in 2025. Great. Now do Max. Ha! They can't and they won't because those numbers don't exist. They're all fabricated. They're all imaginary. They were all make-believe from the very beginning. 340 million ain't bad for another biased, boring product in 2025. Hopefully it's a lot better this year. And Monday Night Raw was a lot better than it was last week. Not by much. We'll get into the whole story of how WWE decided to go ahead and get things started now with WrestleMania season, leading up to Royal Rumble. We have something to work off of. It's not much. I'm not necessarily happy about it, but I will table that for a little bit later because my focus tonight is the Netflix numbers. So let's go into actual facts here. Let me use all my broadcast knowledge here in media to explain this to you. And I'm pretty sure once we get done with this, it's not going to be long for you to realize that Netflix number was complete bullshit. So the numbers, as according to what Variety reported, what Netflix told Variety a couple days ago. Here's what we got. Per Netflix, they say, subscribers watched over 525 million hours of WWE content in 2025. Monday Night Raw alone pulled in 340 million hours. While premium live events broadcast on Netflix outside the U.S. like WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, as well as the weekly SmackDown show, accounted for 185 million hours. Yeah, those numbers all sound very impressive. That's what it's meant to do. But here's the thing that my disciple of the juvenile delusional fandom fails to recognize. Why does Netflix need to give out numbers in the first place? They don't have Nielsen ratings or numbers that they have to report to. When Amazon Prime puts out numbers for NFL broadcasts or other places, you know, they use Nielsen. They report to Nielsen for the streaming data and they give their ratings to that. Okay. For other live events. Netflix has only this as a live event to work off of. With the occasional things, they'll have Skyscraper Live coming up. They'll have, which Seth Rollins is going to be appearing on, I realize. And then you have the fights. That it's the Jake Paul fights, things like that. And of course they quoted 40, 50 million viewers for all these fights they've had on. That's a pretty big, huge number, more than what DAZN would give for any particular world heavyweight title fights, but this is what they're saying out there. Now, those stats I really don't believe too much in, but at the end of the day, I could also say that, well, the social media that's out there, or people that are streaming the content, and those numbers are being seen in real time, I might take those more seriously than I would take from Netflix. Netflix has a bad reputation for the way they give their information. The reason is because they rely on advertising for their content here because they now have an ad-based subscription. And more importantly, for Monday Night Raw as a live event, you see how many commercials they put on their programming, even if it's just for pay-per-views. For pay-per-views and now for Monday Night Raw, they obviously put commercials in there. And it doesn't even matter what level of subscription tier you have. You're still watching ads, as far as I know. So the advertisers need to be able to see the viewership. That's really who that's for. And if you're looking for this information to be put out there like all over the place, it doesn't. This was reported to Variety because Variety is a publication that directly reaches the media industry. This is where advertisers will look at. They will look at ratings numbers. They will look at information they want to find. And those advertisers, large ad agencies, whoever they are, they're paying attention to see what WWE is doing with this live program on Netflix, just like they would for other ratings for other shows. So they look at this. NFL ratings go over there. There's a lot of places where they will put this out there. They're not calculating the ratings on a regular basis, but if they want to announce the ratings, they'll go to Variety. They'll go to Deadline, The Wrap, Hollywood Reporter, etc. But Variety is their place to go. And it's almost like a press release, but Netflix, it's important, so people want to find out what they're doing. So in the story, they say here that since Raw's debut on Netflix in January of last year, show has been rated on the global top 10 English TV chart 47 out of 52 weeks it has aired. It doesn't really make a difference because, you know, how many other shows are people watching that's in the top 10 of English speaking television? You know. And it's averaging over 3 million viewers per week. This is worldwide viewers. We can go back to what's going on with USA Network and what they were getting in terms of 1.4 to 1.6 million viewers in America. And that's also probably not counting what they might have had in streaming, which might not have been much. But they're getting 3 million viewers total around the world. Now, WWE has also been a part of a lot of major Netflix events. Next on Netflix 2025, Netflix To Doom 2025, the live event, the upfront for Netflix for 2025, the grand opening of Netflix Bites in Las Vegas, grand openings of Netflix House Philadelphia and Dallas, as well as NFL Christmas Game Day Live, the Stranger Things 5 world premiere, and there was the Stranger Things crossover episode of Raw. So WWE has been embedded in the Netflix family for various things. They're always included. This is Netflix positioning the fact that, hey, we have done all this for WWE, right? And this is what they're giving us in terms of audience. Netflix is going to bat for WWE for the first year. And this is what they're going to have to do because they are spending a lot of money on this. They're doing their part to try to go and put a good promotional spin on what is being done in terms of the audience and how it's performing. So that's basically what was announced. Now let's get into what these numbers mean. So as we said, 525 million total hours across all content. That could be WWE Unreal. That's Raw, SmackDown internationally, premium live events, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SmackDown, SummerSlam, on all those. That's for all the international events. So, I mean, we don't know what the American audience is for on this at all. And as they said, Raw averaged over 3 million viewers per week. More precisely, this refers to Netflix views metric, which appeared in the global top 10 English TV for 47 of 52 weeks. Now, Netflix defines a view as total hours watched divided by the program's runtime. So there's not a full completed, we don't know how many people are actually watching the show completely. There's things that can be counted as views according to Netflix's calculation that they're going to take in here. So now, what we're looking at here is that, okay, Raw almost roughly runs the 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours an episode. 2.5 hours has been their normal run about so far. And there's also some slight variations with ads and overruns. So that 340 million views is over the full year, representing the cumulative equivalent of full episode watches. So how many hours each of those viewers could have watched per week? Well, you can look at it a couple ways. So let's say they take that number, 3 million average weekly viewers on Netflix for Monday Night Raw every week. Now, this is what they wanted to say, over 3 million viewers per week, the way they phrased it and the way it's performing on the top 10 charts of Netflix globally. Now, it says that this is a solid but modest slice of Netflix's overall viewing in all of 2025 when you compare it to the episodic programs, the original programming that they have in their set. Now, what we have from Netflix as well is a report that they put out, the What We Watched report. It's done every 6 months. The last thing we had was from January to June of 2025, and it captures about 99% of viewing and showed over 95 billion hours watched globally across everything on Netflix. So for a full year, the total watched hours on Netflix is probably 180 to 200 billion viewers, excuse me. And we know there's probably something more to the viewership for Netflix because they had Christmas Day, they had several NFL games, you had Squid Game seasons that were out there, and the season 5 of Stranger Things, which lasted into the end of last year. So this 525 million hours, it counts for 0.25 or 0.3% of all of Netflix's viewing. Do you understand that point? So for all of Netflix that's on there, with all the shows, all the offerings they have on Netflix, that WWE, even though they put that number, 525 million hours of all their programming, it doesn't even count for 1% of all of Netflix's programming or viewership. It counts for 0.3 of 1%, 2.5 of 1%. Minuscule. Very minuscule. It's not bad for the fact that it's a live weekly show. That's one thing they do have, but it doesn't drive what people are on the Netflix for, which is that library of scripted series, movies, reality, licensed content. That's what they got. So people are not going to Netflix for WWE, which is the intent of what Netflix paid $500 million for in the first place. They wanted people to subscribe to Netflix, and they would hope that people were watching WWE programming on Netflix as a result of that. And there would be a lot of people that would flock to it. I mean, I don't know what kind of numbers or what kind of expectations that TKO Group Holdings gave to Netflix when Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro came aboard and explained what this deal was going to be for Netflix for them to make this investment. So if you look at what we have in terms of what Netflix viewers are watching, we already know that watch hour number counts to less than 3% of all the Netflix programming. Less than 3%, and that's all of WWE's programming. So what did get the viewership on Netflix? Well, there's a lot of shows they have out there. Orange is the New Black, an original series from Netflix. Ozark, also original series. Money Heist came from Spain. Those shows exceeded $100 million in just the first 6 months. So we don't know what their numbers are going to be to that. Adolescence, a UK series, got a whole lot of buzz. 145 million views. And then you had season 2 and season 3 of Squid Game also getting a lot of hours. And that puts WWE's numbers in their comparison not so great. And there were many seasonal releases or limited series, so let's say 7-10 episodes, each, that got between 50 to 200 million viewer hours, right? Equivalent to millions of hours depending on runtime. So now, if we look at the projections so far for Stranger Things season 5, which, 8 episodes, got a whole lot of buzz. Just that alone right there in their thing, okay? If we're looking at the tracking right now, we're going to probably expect for season 5 of Stranger Things, it's going to get between 700 and 800 million hours. Let's give that number again. WWE's, all their programming is 525 million hours. And Stranger Things is projected to have gained 700 to 800 million hours. So Stranger Things, a show that's been not even been consistent for 2 years. It's been off. They haven't had a new season since 2023. We waited 2 years for another season, for the final season. And then we get to this point where it comes out, they put it in theaters, it's getting songs back on the charts again, it's getting all this buzz, people are talking about it, people are very familiar, scripted, episodic, and only did 8 episodes. And they're going to get, in just 8 episodes, right? Yeah, what, a couple of hours each? They're roughly an hour and a half, 2 hours for the finale. 700 to 800 million hours in this one season of Stranger Things. Dwarfs anything you could say about WWE content. So back to my fellow disciple, juvenile delusional fandom disciple, drew 340 million viewers on Netflix. Great. So, and they also said, oh, numbers don't exist. They're all fabricated. By the way, HBO Max, they don't have advertisers. Specifically, if they have advertising, it's what's based on what the advertising is over on TBS or TNT. But HBO Max, as far as I know, they're not running ads because they're doing what they had on, what was it, on Thriller, and I forget the name of that wrestling platform now. They had it where you continue to watch the action. They don't go to commercial break on HBO Max, as far as I know. So the viewership there is not going to be counted because they're not worrying about advertising there. Advertising is not the priority on HBO Max. It's subscriptions. Pretty simple for there. So that's why we don't get that number. We don't get that information. They have it probably proprietary, and maybe that thought of that they get another 500,000 viewers or whatever that they say. I don't believe that's true. That's probably not. But they probably get some viewership there. But HBO Max doesn't have advertising. Thus, they don't have to present and announce their viewership numbers for anything over there. They don't. They don't have to. And sometimes for them, it's the nominations they get for Emmys or, Golden Globes or Oscars. That's what they care about on that end for their part. That's what really matters for them, is more of the critical acclaim from the industry out there. So the entire brand library that WWE has right now, 525 million hours. By the way, that number is going to grow because Netflix is going to start adding the original library. The one that was on WWE Network, the one that was on Peacock, that is now being moved over. So watch when we get to this next year that Netflix, they can see that the watch hours will have grown. It will not be because of Monday Night Raw or the pay-per-views or Unreal. It's going to be the older content. The archives are going to get major hours, more than you can imagine with what the live and new content's going to be. You mark these words and come back to this next year, and you'll find out I'm right. Because Netflix is going to be able to say, oh, yeah, we grew. Yeah, they added more content. And not just the live content. They added archive content. And that's going to get more people to go and watch over there. I'm telling you, that's what they're going to do. Smart thinking, it's a smart way to go. And the fact is they can get that content, that's going to be good for them. For Netflix, I think when they get that archive, that it might actually work well for them in many ways. The other part of the 340 million views we have to take into account is you convert it into hours, saying that they're almost 3-hour episodes. That means roughly 1 billion equivalent hours if they're treating views like people are watching from front to back. But the official total is 525 million hours, which means that people are watching Monday Night Raw they're counting the people that are watching the replay of the show or catching maybe like a couple of seconds of it and then moving on. And by the way, the partial watching is when you go to the top 10 or when you're on the main screen, the home screen, and Monday Night Raw is playing in the background. And it's on there as you're switching to something else. They're counting that watch. They're counting that viewership. Make no mistake, they're doing that. But what they do have in Monday Night Raw is that it is a mid-tier to upper-tier Netflix original series. So it's not doing horribly bad, but it's not the best thing on Netflix. It's not the best performing thing on Netflix either. So for WWE, for especially Monday Night Raw, if you counted it as a non-scripted live sports entertainment property that delivers consistent weekly engagement and helps Netflix and live programming get international growth. But it's, I mean, compared to what they have on Netflix that everybody goes for and the real reason, individual hits, catalog staples, they're much more far higher hours in shorter time frames, right? You get people that are sitting there for a half hour to an hour to watch a show. So the value of WWE as steady appointment viewing rather than the explosive binge phenomena like major dramas or thrillers or horrors and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. I mean, you can look at it that, yes, there are people that are on Netflix that are consistently watching, which is part of what Netflix is hoping, that they have something that people are going to watch that they will consistently subscribe to, and they will not leave their subscription for anything because there's something they will always go back to watch each and every week. So there's a small little caveat they have right there that they can build off of. And remember, if we're looking at every week of that 525 total content hours, that's 10.1 million total hours per week across anything that has WWE's name on it. And if we say that they're averaging 3 million weekly viewers, using this metric as a proxy for the engaged audience, this is the number they always say. We always look at it too, 2.6, 2.7. That's how we always get those numbers pretty regularly. At first, again, 5 million, but of course that wasn't going to stay like that. And again, this is under 3 million viewers, the entire world. Remember how people used to go and watch the show? And you had to go ahead and go to whichever outlet it was. So if it was Sky Television or if it was Colors or whatever outlet that every Latin American market, Asian, European, Australian, whatever, African, whatever it was, they had to go find their channel and find where they can get this. And you're telling me out of that whole mix where you got distribution pulled out of all those areas, because internationally, Netflix is the place to go for everything. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and the pay-per-views, and Unreal, and all the other content that WWE does, documentaries, and now their whole archive. And you're telling me that all we're getting out of this is 3 million weekly viewers globally? That's all they have? Now, that might be fine for WWE because obviously they're monetizing it. They're able to get the gates up as high as they want. They can sell out shows and wherever they want. Like right now, they're going to go ahead and go on the road. I forget how many places they're going. And with the Dusseldorf, Germany, they're going to other spots, right? They don't care. They're all over the place. And what's the current action right now? They're in Dusseldorf, Germany, Mannheim, Newcastle upon Tyne, England, London this week as they set up for their setup. And then they also have a AAA show coming up in Mexico. And then they have the Road to Royal Rumble, where they're going to be in Poland and England at the end of the week. So they have a lot of things right there. Good for them. A lot of shows that are not in America. Keep that in mind too. So if we use that 3 million weekly viewers, right, that they have quoted, that means each person would have had to have watched 3.4 hours a week. That means you're assuming that everybody of this 3 million weekly viewers, everybody watched 3 hours. That means they watched the entire show Raw and something else. They would have watched an hour of something else WWE related, or they would have watched Raw, SmackDown, whatever, and that might be the international audience. But that's all we got. Raw is said to be the flagship driver of the viewership, and total hours include Raw and other shows and events. So Netflix views aren't unique people. This is not saying the amount of people that are watching this. Okay, this is what we're saying is 3 million weekly viewers. Let's break it down a little bit more. So that means that if we're talking about these 340 million raw views as viewers over the year, that means each viewer only watched 1.8 minutes a week. That means some people probably didn't watch it. They're counting bots. It feels like they're counting bots. But what they're doing is they're counting anybody that even has it up there on the preview screen on the home screen of Netflix. They're counting those people along with the other diehards that are watching. So Monday Night Raw, if you're actually on Netflix at that moment, I guarantee you're probably getting that right there. Oh, look, it's playing in the background. Well, let's go to Stranger Things. Let's go to Squid Game. Let's go somewhere else. Skip that. Skip past that. So if we're just looking at what Monday Night Raw did and how it produced, they said that according to what they got, there was over 1 billion hours, supposedly, for the year that was watched on Raw alone. But Netflix didn't break out the exact hours. They just said 525 million. So you're pushing viewer estimates higher if you're focusing on the Monday Night Raw audience. But total hours also cover everything that's up there on Netflix that is the WWE, right? Okay? Do you see I'm just breaking this down? I'm not making any of this up. I'm not doing this because I need to go ahead and piss on WWE. I don't do that. I want the point is that the audience, this has not gotten better. We go to Netflix, and Netflix, I mean, if I'm looking at this, I don't see the return on investment. I don't see what they're getting from this. But obviously, their first year into this 5-year deal, which could be 10, but at this point, I don't know if they go to 5 years. If they go past 5 years, excuse me. So if we get that 3 million viewers per week, again, that means the overall content consumption for anything WWE related would be 3 to 3.5 hours watched per week per average engaged viewer. Let's compare it to what was in 2024 before Netflix. Let's see if it actually got more viewers. That's a good question. Just in the US alone, remember. Monday Night Raw in 2024, all of 2024 on USA Network, that was approximately 1.65 million viewers per episode. That's including the Nielsen ratings for live and same day or fast nationals across 52 episodes. The full year average between 1.649 and 1.66 million viewers per week. That was 85 to 86 million total viewer instances over the year. And we don't have a way to know what the international distribution was, but some estimates have said it was between 2 and 3 million viewers at best for live episodes. But the long year reach was far below Netflix levels due to barriers like regional blackouts, pay TV requirements. So let's put it like that. Okay, 3.6 million viewers they had from the linear, from what was on cable, from what they had before they got the streaming on Netflix. Means their numbers went down. That means their numbers continue to erode. That's what it reads to me. What was supposed to happen for WWE that Netflix was going to give was on-demand access and global availability, right? Global availability for everybody to watch Netflix that can watch Netflix was immediately going to go up. And people could watch the show live if they wanted to as well, as everybody else watched at the same time. So you would have a live event wherever you are in the world. If you wanted to watch live in England at 1 in the morning or watch it like 8 in the morning in Hong Kong or Australia, whatever it is, you could do that. Or noon in the middle of the afternoon, next day. You could do that. And everybody could get online on social media and engage. Like the whole idea sounds great. But nobody was doing that. No one was doing it. No one was appointment viewing here. This was not some big Twitch type experience where everybody was all getting into it. It wasn't. And maybe I can give a little bit of credence to the fact that if people were not watching on Netflix, then maybe they were watching through the Twitch streamers. Those that are broadcasting live and doing live commentary as this is all going on. But of course, those Twitch streamers that are out there, you're kind of assuming that people are watching the show as you're listening to whoever is Twitch streaming, right? And that could be happening. I mean, I'll give that. But the truth is that there's probably a lot of people that probably were not watching the program and just want to listen to the commentary that the Twitch streamer's doing. So they don't really care. So there's a lot that was an advantage for WWE right here. Again, the money is a big thing. Let's make this clear. WWE in 2025 completely benefited from this deal. TKO absolutely benefited from this. So they got what they wanted from it. Eliminated cable subscription barriers, enabled international unification, no more broadcasters they had to work deals with, and then you had on-demand and replay viewing, easy to watch. But Netflix views matter right here are inflated, just like Nielsen is, which also would count live-ish audiences. But they got the expansion that they wanted. And now Raw is from a primarily U.S. cable show with limited global aggregation into a consistent global streaming performer, boosting a worldwide audience, significant in 2025, despite some debates on the exact metrics. We could go through some more of this, but I think the other thing we have to think about is this. Maybe there's something to be said about when we complain about the booking of the shows and the storylines, there are no storylines to speak of. Let's just talk about what they did this week on the program, just on Monday Night Raw, and what they put us out there with. So you have AJ Styles and Gunther. We had to set up for a match, and they give us a match. And AJ Styles targeted Gunther's legs with kicks and calf crushers. And then there was a point where Gunther goes chicken shit heel. This is the same guy that just took out and retired John Cena. And he acts like he's tapping out when he's in a submission, but does it where the referee can't see it. And then Styles lets go of the hold, and then Gunther capitalizes with a low blow and a powerbomb for the pinfall. So Gunther being told like this sounds stupid. Am I wrong about this? But it does feel that way. There are a number of things that boggle the mind of what WWE is doing right now in the booking. Let's not even try to give the creativity out there and complain about that. Let's just get into the booking methodology. Make sense of this. Maybe the storytelling that I've been talking about and complaining about all last year into this year, and even before then. I mean, ever since the Bloodline storyline kind of just fizzled out. That they don't want to tell stories because there might be language barriers among the global audience because they have to program this show for a global audience. But it used to be that whatever WWE decided to go and do in terms of storyline, people would follow along with. And you know what? The language barriers, so be it, but people would kind of figure it out. They would have subtitles or they would have somebody doing commentary to make sense of all this. Now, I don't know if that actually happened either. If we're getting commentary in different languages for all these people to watch this show. I don't know if we're getting that or if we're just getting subtitles. That's a good question. Because I don't know if they're getting a dub of the show where they listen to it in their own language. They're just going to watch it in English. That's a good question. And I can't verify that. So there's one part of that. So again, Gunther goes on and wins a match, which fine, have AJ Styles and Gunther go after each other, and they made a quick little reason to go ahead and have some heat on each other to create the matches. Fine. But there's no real story that really came to make this story happen, to make this feud happen. They just had to put these guys together and say, well, okay, have a match. But there's really no reason as to what caused this to happen. That's number one. Again, AJ Styles, he gets to the match. He says he wants to beat respect out of Gunther because he cited his history with John Cena as a benchmark for professional honor. And that's what they decided to do with that storyline. There wasn't much of a storyline. That's just exactly what the match was. Not much to tell. So what's the story for these two to fight each other, except that they fight each other? Big deal. So the what? Have another second, third, fourth, fifth match? Is it really going to matter? Yeah, there might be good matches, but there's no story behind it. Next, they're focusing on the road to WrestleMania. And CM Punk will now defend the World Heavyweight title against Finn Balor next week at Belfast, which will be in Belfast, in Finn Balor's backyard. That's the reason for the match. Not much else. And how do they set up this match and get this set up to get this here? You know, that's one part we can get into. Let's get into a couple of things here. Here's Finn Balor and CM Punk face to face to set up this match. What kind of storyline, what kind of heat could they get from each other?
You see, Punk, I've been around long enough to know that timing's everything. See, I'm not jumping the line to face you. No. Anyone who's watched my career, from Europe to Japan to NXT to Monday Night Raw, knows that the line starts here.
He's not giving much of a crowd noise, a reaction.
So you don't have to worry about Dom. You don't have to worry about JD. But I won't be alone. You see, I've watched your career time and time again take home field advantage in Chicago.
Well, let's go into what CM Punk said, which was before all this. I should take that part as well, just to explain what we got from this and if it was really anything special that was said as a part. I thought I had the clip from CM Punk, but I think it's somewhere in here. But I'll go back to this clip and we'll continue this real quick.
Well, check your schedule, because next week we're in Belfast, Ireland. And it's going to be the Punk versus the Prince, and there's going to be a new Irish World Heavyweight Champion.
This is basically a house show promo for Belfast. Did this need to be out there?
All right, Prince, you're on. I apologize to the fans in Dusseldorf for you disappointing them because they wanted to see the champ work. And I'd like to take the time now to apologize to the fans in Belfast when they have to watch me put their countrymen to sleep with a GTS. Because at the end of the night, I'm going to be standing on your chest with the ring announcer saying, and still, heavyweight champion of the world, see!
All right. So the crowd's all into it, happy to see them both. But my thing is this. Still no storyline. I mean, CM Punk, he just finished up a feud, and now he moves on here to Finn Balor. This is the next opponent. And there's nothing really that made us think that Finn Balor warranted a title match. I mean, I don't see anything that really caused that, but I guess Finn Balor is the leader of Judgment Day. I don't know. But there was not much that really came to this. Okay, so all we're getting for the story here with CM Punk is the fact that there's international heritage. So for Balor, it gives him a home field, a narrative advantage. And then all they're doing right here is the fact that, okay, CM Punk dealt with the Vision, and he already dealt with that faction and with Braun Breaker itself. Braun Breaker doesn't get a rematch. Instead, he moves on to something else. We'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, he took care of the Vision, I guess. And now we move on to Finn Balor, who's not out there with Judgment Day. But CM Punk is expecting the same kind of interference from the Vision as he did with Judgment. We'll have the same kind of interference like the Vision gave, but with Judgment Day. That's all we're getting from that. And then in the meantime, while we have that going on, we also get other storylines. There's Raquel Rodriguez going after Stephanie Vaquer. I'll get to Drew McIntyre in a little bit. I know we got to talk about that. That was last week, but that takes a little bit more time to get into that point. I was going to do a show last week about it, but I opted not to. Like, we can wait on it. But anyway, Stephanie Vaquer is still out here with a bad wheel, and she's out there saying she's still going to defend the title. So she gets attacked by Raquel Rodriguez. It's not Liv Morgan going after Stephanie McCare. It's Raquel Rodriguez getting a women's world title shot.
Come get us! Come get it!
Oh, God.
Come here, come on! What?
It is a mugging, a savage assault once
I mean, it's obvious that Triple H and NXT, they'll always like Raquel Rodriguez to have out there. Now, of course, they wanted that. Got that part. But then we get Raquel Rodriguez that comes out of this. And by the way, the person that captioned this particular video that I saw this says that the Raquel Rodriguez promo we're going to hear was special. A star is being born before our eyes. So here is this great promo from Raquel Rodriguez.
Cheated out of my women's world title night after night, week after week, again and again. And you want to stand here and feel sorry for, you all want to feel sorry for Stephanie McCare? Fine, go ahead. Feel sorry for her. But every single one of you and you, Michael, should know I will not stop. I will keep coming until I have her one-on-one in that ring. And when big, sexy Raquel Rodriguez stands tall as your new women's world champion, then you can feel sorry for Stephanie McCare. All of you can feel sorry when I'm done with her.
What? I don't get what that was. Such a great promo. Yeah, very passionate, fiery, big, sexy. I mean, she's attractive, but why is she taking Kevin Nash's phrase? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's just, and big sexy used to mean for Kevin Nash because he was a big guy, you know, rugged looks, whatever, this and that. But it's like Raquel Rodriguez is not like working like a big wrestler. It wasn't like that either. So now she just wants to pick a name for herself. And, you know, is anybody calling her that? Probably not. At least when I was looking out here, no one's calling her that at all. By the way, happy birthday, Raquel. I see she turned 34 years old. But then here's the other part now. All right, so let's bring the point about Drew McIntyre. He beats Cody Rhodes in a 3 Stages of Hell match on Friday Night SmackDown. Not done at a pay-per-view. No, we're not doing this at the pay-per-view. We did this on TV on a Friday night. Obviously, they wanted to get some ratings for that show and get something out of that. Hopefully, it'll work out. Okay. Well, I wonder what ratings they got for that show after all by doing that. Well, that past Friday night of SmackDown, it got 990,000 viewers. It dropped below 1 million. Now, what was going up against it? Well, we had a semifinal of the college football playoff. Yeah, Indiana Hoosiers, Oregon Ducks. 18 million viewers for the Peach Bowl, Indiana, Oregon. That was what was going up against Friday Night SmackDown. So Drew McIntyre winning the world title on that night. A world title match, by the way. Did not break 1 million viewers on Friday night. So why are we putting that match there? Why can't we put that over on a pay-per-view? It's not even on Saturday Night's Main Event. This is on a random Friday Night SmackDown. But there we go. College football playoff, 18 million viewers. It wasn't like people were not watching cable. They obviously were. They were on ESPN. They were not watching Friday Night SmackDown. So in this particular match, Bodyslam.net, they reported this and said that the talent involved weren't informed of the direction, that the finish was going to be until a few hours prior to the match. A few different pitches were made, but they ultimately went with Drew McIntyre becoming champion with the accidental help of Jacob Fatu. So now, Drew McIntyre looks like he's going into WrestleMania as champion. And Cody Rhodes, I guess he has a matchup with Jacob Fatu in his path. And why Jacob Fatu, for whatever reason, was brought into this? Another person writes, if Drew somehow holds the title in the WrestleMania, who does he even face? I feel like Cody and Roman are clearly off the table. Punk's off the table. Sami feels like the likely option, but is that really a main event level WrestleMania championship match? And by the way, this is also with the fact that SmackDown went through some creative changes. That was reported by Wrestling Observer Newsletter. That Paul Triple H Levesque drives the show. and Bruce Pritchard, Ed Koskey are weighing in on creative, but also handle company-wide distribution of information. Ryan Ward, we mentioned before, is handling all the creative pitches to Levesque. Jonathan Beckstrom, Alexander Williams are co-lead writers for Raw. John Swakata and Road Dogg Jesse James, co-lead writers of SmackDown. And Ward's been picking up a lot of slack on SmackDown. William Regal and Michael Hales are also involved. They say that nothing has really changed in the last few months on this, except there were issues with SmackDown Creative that have said to now be improved, and it was said to be a minimal shakeup. Basically, a little push-up for Ward and a little push-down for Swakata and James. And on the first episode of SmackDown for the new year, we get a title change that it kind of just went under the radar. I mean, sure, the fandom knows about it, and I don't have any problem with Drew McIntyre being champion, but couldn't we have a story with this here? And I'm listening out there as well. With Cody Rhodes, you've had this guy for 2 years. He has nothing ready to go. You have him here now. He's held that belt for several years. At first, we already read last week that Triple H didn't even he wanted Cody to win right away until it was vetoed and said, no, we're going to make him wait a year. So telling the story to finish his story. And we got to that. Now, what do you do with Cody Rhodes? Do you think he really looks strong after losing this match here, that you want to put him into individual feuds? A cold feud with Jacob Fatu, is that really going to work too? And then we get some of the fandom saying, oh, look, Drew finally wins the world title in front of a crowd without a cash in to take it off of him. Jacob Fatu immediately has a huge new programmer upon his return. A ton of predictability has been thrown in the Mania season. Unpredictability. A perfectly booked main event of SmackDown, and we cannot wait to see what comes next. Perfectly booked? Wow. Incredible. Now, Drew McIntyre has a promo out there for the folks in England, so good for him. Play a little bit of that. He's not even on television, by the way. This is at a house show.
A lot of you have been coming to the WWE Hydro shows for a few years now, yeah? You've probably heard me repeatedly make you a promise that I'm going to win the WWE Championship and I'm going to bring it back to Scotland.
So there we go. He gets to do the house show thing. So are we booking now just because of where the show's going to be at? Is that what the whole idea was? I don't know. And then the other storyline here, one of the biggest names right now, one of the superstars with the most upside, Braun Breaker. He loses his match to CM Punk. I expected that. And then instead of him going back after getting a rematch on CM Punk, no, we get a part where Braun Breaker decides to go ahead and interrupt a tag team match. Here's what he did.
Oh my goodness! Braun Breaker! Breaker's here! And he broke Lee in half with a spear!
And by the way, the spear looked amazing, and then they showed another view from overhead where the drone followed along Breaker in full speed as he takes out Dragon Lee. Yeah, that looked great. But this is the heat he's getting back, not on the night he lost to CM Punk. He's getting the heat now here. So I'll get it. Okay, the heel gets back his heat. This is what he's doing. No problem with this part.
Breaker still stinging from the defeat to Punk.
And Penta, like Shinsuke Nakamura, he's now just like, he's out there kind of bottom of the barrel. Not very relevant right now in the whole mix.
In that ring, blood boiling from losing.
Very much waddling in the mid-card purgatory.
Last week, and he's got that down look at his eye, Cole.
Remember, Adam Pearce, our general manager, warned Paul Heyman, if Breaker shows up, send him home. I'm not in the mood for this. And speaking of this.
And then there's that part. Okay, so he does a few more spears. And then we get Adam Pearce coming out. And this is the clip that's gone around a lot of places that everybody's all happy about. Was we get Adam Pearce coming out to confront Braun Breaker. And this is what everybody got all caught up on. So remember, we can get the heat right now where Braun Breaker's getting his heat back. Adam Pearce, as the authority figure, says he better not be here. He better not be causing a ruckus. And this is what happens.
I'm sick of this shit. I'm tired of it. You think I'm tired? You understand me?
Somebody better get Breaker off him. Get in there.
Chill. What are you gonna do?
You don't hear what he says, but we do get to hear it again. It's like you get a chance to go and catch it one more time before it all happens, is that he's been suspended indefinitely. This is the Braun Breaker story, the Brock Lesnar storyline from several years ago. And wasn't it Stephanie that suspended him indefinitely? This storyline was done also at the beginning of the year, after Brock Lesnar lost a match. So we're doing the same storyline here, just repeating it. And this is what they think is going to happen. They're going to make him like Brock Lesnar. Let's go to this part. Here's Adam Pearce once again with Braun Breaker.
Where the hell are you going? We're not done talking. You evidently haven't learned a damn thing. And now you put your hands on me. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Who are you listening to? You ain't learning a damn thing putting your hands on the boss. So guess what? You can have some time to think about it because you are suspended indefinitely. Indefinitely.
That was a very big mistake.
You are damn right it was! The biggest mistake he ever made in his career, thanks to you!
No, I don't mean him. I meant you. Mr. Pierce, Mr. General Manager, respectfully, from my vantage point, you put your hands on him first.
So the only thing I'm getting out of that is that Adam Pearce is getting back in the ring to face Braun Breaker. Okay. We haven't had Adam Pearce out there as an in-ring performer. Now, I've said this, and this is like the same argument I have for Nick Aldis. Yeah, why aren't these guys wrestling? Like Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, I'm pretty sure, can definitely be in ring shape right away, and they can work some great matches out there. There was never a question in my mind. Nick Aldis, coming in as general manager at SmackDown, absolutely could have been working. And when Nick Aldis was already getting himself pressured into matches and all, like he was getting slapped around and stuff. Yeah, why didn't we have him and Randy Orton take each other on? Wasn't that who it was, right? Randy Orton was pestering Nick Aldis. It was him or forget who else it was. But we could have seen a match with them. Like, why did Nick Aldis have to be slapped around? And with Adam Pearce, yeah, why is he getting muscled around by Braun Breaker? So we're not going to get Braun Breaker getting any rematch with CM Punk or somebody else. No, we're setting up a feud with him and Adam Pearce? I didn't expect that Adam Pearce would go ahead and come out here and work. I'm fine with the fact they want to go with Adam Pearce. Is this the direction they want to go with Braun Breaker? Okay, they want to keep him away from the title picture, so there's not anybody else they have. They have to resort to Adam Pearce. And what Liv Morgan's doing, by the way, she's not going after any world title match right now either. For the women's world title, she's not going with Stephanie Vaquer. It's Raquel Rodriguez. But what is Liv Morgan doing? She's doing this.
The only problem is those still belong to me. I am one half of the greatest women's tag team champions of all time, and I never lost my title. So we could do things the easy way, and you guys can give me my titles back, or we could do things the hard way, and I will take my titles back.
All right. So Rio, right? Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. By the way, it makes me think of Riho in AEW. There's a bit of a distinction there. Yeah, so Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, fan favorites, tag team champions, making something out of the women's tag team titles. Now Liv Morgan with Roxanne Perez this time going after the World Tag Team titles. But we've been building up Liv Morgan for so long. I mean, why isn't she going after Stephanie Vaquer? She was a former world champion herself. So why isn't she going after that belt? Why is it Raquel? So is it her turn? I don't know. And Raquel was actually with tag team champions before. So why isn't Raquel and Roxanne going after the tag team titles? They're doing it the other way around. That's what they chose to do. And then when you look at Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, you know, but both of these folks, weren't they both differently at one time Intercontinental champions, IC champions? Bayley and Lyra Valkyria are still a thing now in 2026.
What happened out there? What do you mean what happened? We tried so hard to get a tag team match and then we went there and we didn't win. But we got the tag. Yeah, we didn't win. Thanks a lot. Almost there. It's all you. You're the one who lost. I lost. Don't talk to me like I went out there and got pinned. I didn't get pinned. I didn't get pinned either. You didn't get pinned. I didn't get pinned. You didn't get pinned. Wait. I didn't get pinned and you didn't. Wait. We didn't lose. We're not losers. We're not losers. No.
And let's not forget also Bayley also getting slapped in the face by Lyra Valkyria, and that turned Bayley into like a different person. Things like that. I also keep listening, I keep reading the commentary of the Juvenile Delusional fandom out there, whose names I will not mention, but I just keep watching them. I bookmark them and I just talk about it. So more people being happy about what happened. So with Monday Night Raw this week, such a smart move. We're getting 2 Irish wrestlers in big matches. Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree, Finn Balor and CM Punk. Okay, so the Irish thing, that's for the crowd in Belfast. Great for them. The fact they both have real stories behind them is what I've been loving about the booking lately. Becky's pre-tape promo was excellent. Maxine brought great intensity backstage, and Liv lighting a fire under Finn feels like it's leading to something. WWE is giving us real reasons to care, and to look forward to the next WWE Raw. Oh, the disciple of the Juvenile Delusion fandom says Adam Pearce is effing great at his job. Braun Breaker needed a big follow-up after losing to CM Punk. WWE just did that. Breaker snapping on Pearce was more than enough. I enjoyed that very much. Still doesn't make sense. Common sense doesn't follow here. And they didn't give us a story that leads to it. I mean, Adam Pearce is beginning upset and he's been pushed around a lot. But yeah, this is what we're doing here? I mean, this is where we want Braun Breaker to go. Is that we need Adam Pearce, an authority figure. He's not even been shown as an active wrestler yet. And I think the one time they showed Adam Pearce wrestling was, you know, he looked made inferior. He's not Scrap Daddy out there, right? He's not the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Adam Pearce. They have not positioned Adam Pearce as this major wrestler over here. Are we going to do that now for him? Is that what the plan is? I mean, we could have done this. He's been there for a couple of years. But, 47-year-old Adam Pearce, we're going to bring out there and do this now? Make this make sense. Okay. Wrestling Observer Radio also reporting that the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match, the third affair, is being scrapped. So Dave Meltzer, I'm sure, was saying this. The whole WrestleMania thing changed on Wednesday of last week when they decided to go with Drew with a title win. It wasn't decided until Wednesday. They may be doing a 3-way with McIntyre, Jacob Fatu, and Cody Rhodes. They may not necessarily be at Mania, and that's not even 100%. But I was told that that's kind of like a possibility. But the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns thing is probably not happening. Whatever it is, the Mania plans were changed when they decided to put Drew with the belt. That's Dave Meltzer obviously saying that. So there's no idea what's going on here. And by the way, another person from the fandom, when they saw the Monday Night Raw numbers, the 340 million views, they told me WWE was in decline. They told me WWE was struggling on Netflix. They told me the WWE was collapsed once John Cena left. Don't believe anything these haters tell you. Yeah. Oh, and as for the fact that the Royal Rumble and all these shows in Europe are going on right now, so the Road to WrestleMania, which usually would run through the U.S., doesn't start running through the U.S. until March. So that's when we get them going into Portland, Seattle, Phoenix, San Antonio, Pittsburgh, New York, Houston, San Jose, and Sacramento. That's what they're setting up for that. Fun. Now, I want to also try to figure out why this whole Adam Pearce thing is here. And Tommy Dreamer gives his take about it on Busted Open Radio.
Adam Pearce is in trouble, ladies and gentlemen. I love what they did because it sets up for compelling television. Adam Pearce, your Raw general manager, an employee of WWE, puts his hands on Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker grabs Pearce and shoves him into the corner. And the moment he grabbed him, the place gasped. They were into it. If Braun is suspended, when do you bring him back? And then what are the ramifications on Adam Pearce? I don't think there's going to be a suspension. Does Adam Pearce lose his job and go to SmackDown? Does Adam Pearce lose his job entirely and just stick to behind the scenes? Don't want to see Adam Pearce lose his on-air role. Is this something where Triple H may have to get involved? Is this something where Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman request a lot of things so they don't sue WWE?
And all he's doing is pitching the idea of, this is like the creative storytelling concept we were talking about this whole time. It's up to the fans and for social media to go and decide. And Tommy Dreamer is just putting out all the ideas that you can make for your own fantasy booking, that you could just think this all up right here, take these ideas from Tommy Dreamer and say, you know what? This is the way I'm going to look at what happened here with Braun Breaker and Adam Pearce. That's how I'm going to perceive it, without any real storyline at all. Another person from the fandom, WWE is at its best when the weekly shows are unpredictable and good, but they don't make sense. Another person says it's so unpredictable right now, which is a good thing. Yeah, they're going another way where they're now going unpredictable. Okay, but there's no storylines behind it whatsoever. Another person from the fandom, that rumors going around about Breaker and Pearce having a match at WrestleMania, says if it was me and if Adam was wrestling again, I'd have it at Chamber. It makes sense on both sides, keeps Braun out of the Chamber match. Breaker should have a major moment and match at Mania this year, in my opinion. Well, we got 4 months to get there. 3 months, excuse me. And we're going to have him going with Adam Pearce. I have no clue what they're going to be doing at all. But here's the thing that's got to be said as well. And Dave Meltzer actually made the point about this too on Wrestling Observer Radio. Yeah, Adam Pearce, he's living rather than just performing. That so many people quote when they're performing, it's so obvious that they're performing, he is living it. I don't want to compare him to Terry Funk because it's kind of not fair to anyone to compare him to Terry Funk, but he is in it. And that was great. Adam Pearce did an amazing job. If he's going out there to be a wrestler to go up against Braun Breaker, yeah, he's making himself credible. Because Adam Pearce knew what to do. This guy was a former world champion. Much like Nick Aldis. Something about the NWA World Heavyweight title. You got to know what you're doing. I don't care what size the company was. The NWA. And who owned it or whatever it was. But there's some distinction about the fact that you are a World Heavyweight Champion for the National Wrestling Alliance. Whatever size that was, you're still under the lineage of Ric Flair, Harley Race, Luthez, all those guys. Okay? And Dusty Rhodes and others. So my thing is that when I look at everything here, I love that Adam Pearce is getting a chance to do this role here. But the way they positioned him, he's just an authority figure. He's never been shown as a credible world caliber, world champion wrestler. He hasn't done anything wrestling wise in WWE programming at all. So what are we doing with this now? If they decided to have a match and they let Adam Pearce work a great match with Braun Breaker, I'm sure Braun Breaker and Adam Pearce could have a great match together. There's no question there either. What storyline are we getting for this? And what is this? How does this benefit Braun Breaker, by the way? Another point brought out here, Russell Ops puts this out here, that on Monday night, it was the first year anniversary of the women's IC title. 3 title holders, Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, and Maxine Dupree. Becky Lynch having the most days as champion at 131 days. 16 televised defenses thus far, 5 on pay-per-view. Becky Lynch being involved in 11 of the 16 matches, all 5 of those were on pay-per-view. Just make that point too. And the World Heavyweight title match, let's make this point too. The match with CM Punk and Braun Breaker. on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Got 3.2 million views globally for the week, 5.9 million hours viewed per Netflix data. And we know how the data works. We explained that at the very top of the show. So, the first time since December 8th, the show was ranking in the global top 10. And the highest since the post-WrestleMania episode, since the post-SummerSlam show. Well, I don't think it was so much because of Braun Breaker CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. It's because it was a Stranger Things themed episode. So there was a boost because of Stranger Things, which we talked about last week. They failed to capitalize on. But nobody's going to say that either. And there are other discussions out there about what could happen with the Drew McIntyre title run here and how it goes to WrestleMania. Some more speculation from Cultaholic Wrestling. And they are taking from at Backup Hangman, a self-made PW, saying that Roman Reigns could defeat Drew McIntyre on the road to WrestleMania for the WWE Championship and then lead to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns once again at WrestleMania, the third match. Quote, the original direction was simply Cody is going to hold the deal until Mania, and then Roman was going to go to Mania and beat him. And then Triple H wanted some surprises in there, so he maybe wanted to throw in some monkey wrenches. Wants Cody to win, so one of the things he devised was Drew McIntyre to win the belt. Drew was smart because now what he realizes, I'm pitching things that could benefit me, but I know it'll go through because it'll benefit the overall promotion and what they're trying to do with their big thing. And then Drew McIntyre being the middleman in the Cody Roman story. So Drew would hold the championship, go to lead Cody Rhodes, shifting his character ever so slightly, playing around with the idea that he did attack Jacob Fatu. Did he not? Is Cody turning heel? Is he not? They're going to play around with this without actually doing it. Jacob Fatu is going to be a tweener on the show. If you're noticing, you're not hearing a lot about Roman Reigns because he wasn't going to be on TV for a lot of this. He's a part-timer. And what is being believed is that they were going to do a play around with all these elements, and Roman Reigns would most likely challenge Drew McIntyre and beat him at some point in the process, and then the match with Cody Rhodes would be set up for WrestleMania. With no storyline whatsoever. An existing storyline with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. I mean, not much else. I mean, Cody and Drew have a little bit of backup, but like really no storyline behind it. But there are no storylines. They don't care to do that. I'll leave it there. I hope you understand where I'm coming from for all this. Like, as a long-term wrestling fan, I'm just not very happy with the direction that's gone with this. By the way, ESPN and WWE are being sued as well, by the way, because of deceptive marketing practices with the move of PLEs to the new ESPN app. Fans were upset about how they would get ESPN channels through cable or other providers, still required to pay a additional monthly fee to watch WWE events. So, plaintiffs allege this contradicts marketing communications from both WWE and ESPN, claiming they suggested all existing subscribers would have access to PLEs. Don't know if this is actually going to go through, but postwrestling.com put the story out there and reported on that, so good on them. We're going to follow along with this. I don't know what this road to WrestleMania is supposed to be. I'm completely confused. And I hope some of you out there in the audience, you want to try to explain all this to me? Like what real... let's just make this clear. There are no stories being told. Let's just get the what-ifs out there that can be talked about among the delusional fandom out there and all the others out there that are preaching to those people. What if they did this? What if they did that? Fantasy booking, you are contributing to the fantasy booking, and you're doing that. Why not? Because WWE is not going to take the initiative and actually tell a story with these folks. They're going to take past history, and when they go out to do promos, they're going to do whose line it is anyway. As I've said already. That's all they're going to do. Yep. And we will continue to follow along with the story. Road to WrestleMania. I don't know what to think of it, but we'll come back to comment about this next week on another Wrestling is Real podcast. Because wrestling needs us.